Last year, when I came to the Mini, it was my first ever effort at building a display on it. And if you remember, I had a white, fluffy Christmas tree sitting over there. And it was pretty naive where I was at last May. And the really nice thing was that just about everybody here made suggestions as to how I could actually get it and make it work. What I really wanted to do was just update you and show you where it ended up with last Christmas and talk about the things that I couldn't get to work last Christmas, and you might be able to offer me some suggestions. So it's really the fluffy Christmas tree story. When I started out with this exercise, my really lovely, valuable wife is quite happy for me to play with Christmas lights as much as I like, as long as the display looks and has a feel of Christmas. She doesn't want one just with boxes and lines, and she'd like it to look like Christmas. Fortunately, Bunnings was selling off their white Christmas trees, so I bought 4 of them. And for those with a good memory, I bought some wire mesh, put pixels on the wire mesh, wrapped it in wire mesh, and on that wire mesh I made some singing faces. So the first objective was so that when they were sitting on the front porch, they actually looked like Christmas trees. And it achieved that, as you can see. And the first effects that I put on there was just twinkling lights, and they actually worked as well. And it looked a bit classy, I thought. The second part of the exercise then was to make them have some singing faces, and courtesy of Keith from New South Wales, who got them from somebody in Florida, I actually did a singing tree sequence of, I can't remember what the song was now, but I also did some dialogue between the trees, courtesy of a file that I got from Keith, and this was the hit of the night.
Whoa, stop. Hey, stop the show. Stop the show. Stop the show.
Why?
What
What's
are you doing? What do you mean, what's the problem? Look, you're blue when you're supposed to be white, and then you're red when you're supposed to be blue. What's going on?
I don't think that's true. I was blue when I was supposed to be blue, and if I need to be red, then I'm red, like this. It's not a problem.
Okay,
I don't see...
No, that is a problem because you were completely wrong. Listen, I don't care what you're doing over there. Maybe you're drinking some tree sap. I don't know what's going on, but let's just try it again on 3, okay?
All right, fine.
All right, 1, 2...
But suffice to say, other than the fact that I'm a hopeless videoer, from standing in the yard and from the end of the driveway, the singing faces on the trees, and being able to have custom models with the colours at the top and the bottom of the tree, it works. It really does work. And there's no doubt everybody who came to my show, the highlight of the show was the 4 elements of the singing faces where they actually the 2 trees talk to each other. And that really was a big hit. The difficulty I've got for next year is that one of the songs that I want to do next year, I need 4 trees, and I've only got 2. So part of the exercise also, having done that bit successfully, was then to use X-lights to see if I could actually do any other sort of effects on the trees. And courtesy of Daryl and Keith, I was actually able to figure out how to do some other effects on the trees. And as you can see, the singing faces actually get hidden in the other lights, which is a bit of a novelty. So this short video just shows, very quickly, some of the other things that I was actually able to do with those trees. So that was just snippets out of 3 or 4 videos, just to give a feel for some of the things that I actually do with those trees. And there was no doubt in my mind, having the white of the tree and having the lights on the tree definitely added to the effect of it all. And having the singing faces there so that they actually appear from nowhere, that really did make it, I think, quite effective. The dilemma was, though, that the original objectives worked, but some things didn't work. I couldn't get pictures on there, and I couldn't get text very easily on there. Remembering that the original concept was the wire frame, so it was essentially 13 pixels across, because that was the spacing of the wire frame, and 11 rows high, and again it was the spacing of the wire frame. And so the wire frame had 3 inches spacing, so the total number of pixels was only about 140, 150 pixels on the tree, plus those that were on the faces. Okay, this is a really close-up view of the things that didn't work. Right, now that was actually pinched from a sequence that somebody did somewhere, and that was actually supposed to be trumpets. And I tried for days and days and days to try and make it look like a trumpet, and had no luck whatsoever. By sheer chance, one of the sequences that I got from somewhere or other actually had singing faces on a matrix, and because all I'd done is copied it across, I ended up with singing faces on my trees, but without using my singing faces, just using the nodes that were on there. And it's actually, what surprised me was that you could actually tell there was a mouth there and 2 eyes, and it was purely a fluke. There was no creative element by me in trying to actually achieve it. And it did make me think that maybe there's a way to actually do that better in the future. So, and that's not using my faces, that's just using the pixels. Now, that bar there was actually a picture of 2 people that are supposed to come together and kiss in that bit of montage, which on a proper matrix really looks good. But on mine, it was just a total disaster. So, for me, the issue was, one, the singing faces worked really well, really easy to set up. I made one fundamental error. If you remember at last year's Mini, I said that I actually didn't mind how many pixels I used. I was just going to count them afterwards. So I made 2 trees. They weren't the same. I just counted the pixels, right? So I set up the 2 singing faces, tree 1, tree 2. They had different number of pixels on them, but I didn't care. I just set them up as 2 trees inside X lights. And that was really good, because for about 3 months I had them under the back pergola, all wired into the Falcon, would go out there under the pergola and just program them and be really chuffed and pleased with myself. 30th of November, I go and put them on the front porch, and I swap the 1 and the 2 over in X lights. First night I turned them on, you can guess what happened. I had faces going all over the place. And it took me a week and a half to realise that all I'd done was plugged them in the wrong way. The real solution for me is the next 2 trees I'm going to have. I really want to get bigger white trees. I do like the white fluffy bit, and have a much higher pixel density. Instead of using 3-inch wire, maybe I'll use 2-inch wire or something like that. But I think there's scope for it to get better. Interestingly, because they actually sit under the veranda, they haven't gone yellow, which a lot of those trees do. They're actually still nice and reasonably white. So I'm going to use those 2 trees again and make 2 new ones. But I really only want to present this to say thank you to everybody for the help that everybody gave me in getting these things to work, because I really did appreciate it. So thanks very much.